Hello, this is a video on the death of Nelson Mandela. And I want to make this video, and I want to point out something first of all. This video is not so much to demonize or villainize Nelson Mandela. I realize he was in a civil war, and that they do what they do as a result of that. He was in a civil war with the white people of South Africa, and it's the same as when Germany and America was in a war. Both people committed atrocities against the other, torture and other things I would hope they wouldn't do in any other situation. But it was justified under the guise of they were in a serious war. That's not to say something like Iraq or Afghanistan, where, you know, it's basically these huge fucking governments and their mega military going in and just bullying them around. No, I'm talking about a huge serious war. Well, Nelson Mandela was in actual war with South Africa, and they were in a war with him. And I would defend him to a certain extent for doing what he did. Same way I would have defended the whites for doing whatever they did to him, or what they would have done, and what other people would do. It's a war, and all affairs in war and love and war. You know, blood and revenge and death. I mean, that's what it is. The point is, Nelson Mandela is portrayed as a peaceful sort of activist, almost in the same way as this icon of peace. He's portrayed in a similar way to someone like Martin Luther King. He's portrayed similarly to Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Jesus, whatever. When in fact the man was nothing like that at all. He was a serious hardcore communist revolutionary, and I don't mean socialist, I mean communist. He supposedly had ties with the Soviet Union, and he was a murderer. He murdered thousands of people. He bombed cars. He had car bombings. He led to car bombings. He was personally behind the bombing of several different hotels. He bombed hotels. He killed whites and blacks. He killed all kinds of white people, including children. He killed blacks in his reckless activities. And so on and so forth. He he's not this good guy. This goes back to why I'm against the whole concept of a good guy and a bad guy. There isn't such thing as good guys and bad guys. It's all shades of gray. But the point is, he wasn't some sort of mega good guy who was always good. No, he killed lots of innocent people, and his wife bragged about taking white children and tying tires around their heads, and basically ripping off children's heads and doing random acts of violence. And before that, she would go into other tribes. Contrary to the media, South Africa has never been a peaceful nation. The tribes in that country have always done war. She would go into other tribes and she would do the same thing to black children, and she would murder black children. This is his right. And he was in prison not because he was against apartheid, but for doing this shit. That's why he was in prison. They're telling the truth when they say that he's in prison, but he was not in prison, and this is what I should start out with. He was not in prison. I did it first, I'd do it all over again. He was not in prison for committing some sort of innocent act of protest. No, he was in prison for blowing shit up, and he was let go. He was given life in prison, and that's the only reason he was ever released. And they did release him, but he killed lots of fucking people. And I understand he didn't like the South African government. He didn't like the white people were in charge, and the people didn't want. So he did what he had to do. All I'm saying is, don't expect me as a white guy to appreciate this fucking dude who blew up shit, killed a bunch of fucking white people, and that's what he's known for. That's what he did. Don't ask me to appreciate this motherfucker. And there's lots of white people now in South Africa. Since then, the great-grandchildren of the apartheid South Africans, who are living in hellish conditions, who are farmers, who do not have food, do not have supplies, They're a tiny minority. They're raided daily by black gangs who rape them and kill them, rape the women, they molest children, on a daily fucking basis. And don't ask me to feel sorry for him. Furthermore, I take it one step further. If he's a good man and he's a hero, then why is Osama bin Laden not a good man and a hero? Because what did Nelson Mandela do? He committed random acts of violence and blew up shit to free South Africans from English and Dutch and I believe French rule. Well, what did Osama bin Laden do? He committed random acts of violence to free the Middle East from American rule, and American imperialism, and American intervention. So why is it that Osama bin Laden is a bad guy for blowing up shit when Nelson Mandela is supposed to be a good man? Explain that to me. By the way, the only difference between Nelson Mandela and Osama bin Laden is that Nelson Mandela was only given life in prison by the government that he conspired against, was released due to pressure, and took over the fucking country, and died in peace many, many years later in his own warm bed at home at an old age. Osama bin Laden was chilling with his kids and his wife in some house he was laid up in, hiding from the government, and we bust in and brutally murdered him, blew his brains out in front of his wife and children who were cowering in fear, without any opportunity for him to have a trial, without any jury, without any testimony from him. We brutally murdered Osama bin Laden. And I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but how the fuck did Nelson Mandela not do it? And by the way, our interfering with other people's shit is how we empowered Osama bin Laden was able to blow up the Twin Towers. We empowered him by giving him money to overthrow the Soviets when they were in Afghanistan. So our desire to fuck over another country led to Osama bin Laden doing what he did to us. So it's bullshit, and that's how I feel about it, and fuck Nelson Mandela, so yeah.